So I finally got the Vampire 2, the tier 10 Commonwealth destroyer that's based on the Daring. And what we're going to see here is my very first game in it. And this thing is very, very strong. I knew it was going to be good based on fighting against it and having a really tough time, but wow, this ship is amazing. I really should have got it a lot sooner. We're going to do a ton of damage to this Kleber, and there's really not a lot he can do about it. But quickly, let's talk about what's different. What does the Vampire do that the Daring does not? Well, first of all, we have a crawling smoke rather than the short cooldown bursty smokes that the Daring gets. So the Daring is a little bit more flexible in its ability to reposition with those smokes, where Vampire 2 can kind of set up in a specific area and just lock it down. The hydro is also a little bit better in my opinion, since it's a 5-kilometer hydro rather than that 3-kilometer hydro that the Daring gets. And then a big difference, of course, is Daring gets a heal where the Vampire does not. So bit of a downside there, but you're just going to see how good this smoke is. If you've played the Haida, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. You can use these crawling smokes to just slowly maneuver through in a very critical position without really having to worry too much. All we have to worry about is radar, and that's not really something we have to deal with in this game, fortunately. It's really the only danger that I can see. And with this smoke plus hydro, no one's going to be rushing you. You have the ability to move around slowly with this smoke, so you're not really going to get torped in your smoke very easily either. And I should also mention, you have slightly better DPM than Daring as well. So your gun power is absolutely ridiculous. And I've been playing quite a few games with this ship. It locks down caps so easily. It's kind of ridiculous. The build I have also kind of maximizes the gimmick of this smoke. So I actually have around a 2.5 minute smoke. So we can just kind of hang out here for 2.5 minutes. Not a lot of DDs are capable of doing that. Jutland shows up and we're just ready to open up on him right away. It's been a lot of fun. I've played quite a few games in it already. I just got it yesterday, I think. It's a really, really fun ship. So I probably should have played it sooner. That way I could give you a little bit more advice when it comes to these Research Bureau ships. Still think Ohio is probably the better pick. Much easier to use. Better overall, potentially. But the skill ceiling on Vampire is so high. If you're good in DDs, this ship is ridiculously powerful. I've had a lot of fun with it. So our smoke screen is running out now, and we have to wait 2 minutes now. So at this point, we want to play a little bit more passive. We're trying to just wait for that smoke to come up again, and then we can push in aggressively again. Again, assuming that there's no radar. And there is a Puerto Rico here, but it's not really a very dangerous radar. We can see that coming from a mile away. And even if he does spot us, there's something really special about the Vampire 2 and the Daring is their built-in acceleration, where it's very difficult to hit this ship if you know how to use your propulsion. So the Puerto Rico does end up radaring us, and just look at how fast we're able to accelerate up to full speed. And then I'm going to slow down and turn out right away, which sends his first shells way too short and way too wide. And then I accelerate again, so his back shells miss behind us. It's a very, very, very hard ship to hit, the Vampire 2 and the Daring, in that mid-range kind of bursty acceleration sort of way. You don't have the top speed maneuverability of a Marceau or a Kleber, for example, but if you're at those slow speeds trying to bait people into shooting you, it can dodge reasonably well. Of course, the Daring also has that ability. Pushing in again, here we are. Our smoke's ready, our hydro's ready. We can push in relatively aggressively. Not too much so. Notice how most of the enemy team is completely here. We don't really want to be too aggressive and throw our ship away. Again, we don't have a heal, so we can't make some of those extremely risky plays. But now that we're pretty close to the enemy team, we can just set up with our smoke, slowly crawl towards them, and then farm them. These battleships are pretty far away, kiting away positions and that kind of thing. And yet with this crawling smoke, we can push up a little bit here, slow down, and then start farming them again. I really love this crawling smoke. It's a weird gimmick, and it is a little bit hard to use, I will say. You can't turn it off as soon as you've turned it on. So if you use your smoke and then you need to reposition or something like that, everyone knows exactly where you're going because your smoke is going to follow you for the next 2 minutes. So keep that in mind with this ship. It's not the easiest thing to use, but in a situation like this, we don't just set up in a very stationary, predictable position like we would if we were trying to farm out of a daring smoke, or especially like a gearing smoke where it just lasts so long. The daring is a little bit special in that it has a very short cooldown and duration on the smoke, so sets up for a short time, farms a little bit, and then is able to reposition again. The Vampire 2 is similar, although the repositioning is very slow throughout that long duration of that smoke. And the reason I'm so confident here, that I have the Hydro up as well. 5-kilometer Hydro. I have so much confidence to just sit in a position like this because I know I'm not getting rushed by a DD. I know I'm not getting pulled out by a DD. So I can just kind of chill here in the cap and lock it down, even though the enemy team was really strong here on this flank during this game. I'm sure we had some support from our team here, but we definitely had a fewer number of ships up in the north here compared to the enemy team. And we've still been able to lock it down relatively easily. And look at this, even getting blind fired in our smoke by this Smolensky's trying to hit us, and this slow crawling along makes it very, very difficult for him to actually even hit us. We're still not touched yet. The whole game has gone on, and we're still not touched. Which maybe means I'm playing a little bit too passive, but this is my first match in the Vampire, so I was trying to feel out what the limits are of this ship. If you do get caught out, you can die very quickly though, since no heal, no special armor on this ship that's going to shatter anything. You can die very quickly in the ship if you misplay. So keep that in mind. It's not this all-powerful, easy ship to play, but it's very strong in some very capable hands. I was even talking while streaming this over on Twitch that it now makes sense as to why I find it so difficult to deal with anyone in a Vampire 2 when I'm in a Daring or when I'm in some other DD at tier 10. I always hated fighting against this ship, and it makes total sense as to why. It's just that good. I haven't talked about torps yet. That is a weakness here, is we lose an entire torp rack compared to the Daring. Although they do 3,000 damage more per torp hit, and they go a little bit farther. It's like a 12.5-kilometer range on the torps rather than 10 on the Daring. So a bit of a trade-off there, but obviously Daring torps are just better. But we're really not playing Daring for the torpedo power. It's really all about the gun power. And in this game, we haven't even hit any torps, and we're still doing just ridiculous amounts of damage. The fire chance, of course, is that more modern 9-10% fire chance if you build for it. I think it's 9% base. So considering our reload is much, much better than the old guard of destroyers, like a Gearing, for example, and our fire chance is about double. Yeah, you're going to be lighting way, way more fires. That's where that extra damage comes in on a lot of these more modern DDs, is you're able to just farm so many fires. Withers are not hard to get in these new DDs at all. Whereas some of the older DDs, they just did not have the fire chance. I'm not sure what changed that Wargaming decided to just double the fire chance of more modern DDs, but they did. And that really is a massive advantage, and especially on a ship like the Vampire that already has just such a ridiculous reload. Notice here how we actually spot the Gearing at the same time. Concealment is a bonus here as well. Daring has a 6-kilometer concealment, where the Vampire 2 has a 5.8-kilometer concealment. It's very, very powerful. So we're just going to clean up some of these DDs here real quick. Gearing goes down, the Jutland goes down, the Shimakaze goes down, and yeah, it's kind of ridiculous what this ship is capable of. And in a situation like this, sure, I ended up killing the DD, but I could actually poke out of my smoke really quickly, get another spot on the Shimakaze, slow down, and be back in my smoke again. You can't do that in a lot of other DDs that have a fixed duration smoke, and it's really powerful, I gotta say. So expect to see some more Vampire as things go along, but wow, I am really impressed with how good this ship is so far. As for the build here on the Vampire and how we got such a ridiculously long smoke duration, we're taking some skills to buff it, like consumables enhancements here. I'm of course going with Conceal, I'm going with Superintendent. It's pretty much their recommended build. It seems to work pretty well. I don't really see too much value in main battery and AA expert since the shells get really floaty at range, and I'd much rather be repositioning and getting into better positions than trying to farm at those really long ranges. And since I'm often in a smoke and not spotted, Fearless Brawler is less useful. So that is a bit of the reasoning there, but again, I haven't played too much of this ship yet, so certainly not an optimized build yet as far as what I want to do with the ship. But I really have had a lot of fun with the extra smoke. So yeah, we're using a special smoke generator mod, which gives us another 30%, buffing the hydro duration as well by another 20%, and that gives us a very similar amount of time on our smokes and our hydro. So we basically just have them at the same time. I pop my smoke, then I pop my hydro, and they both last almost 150 seconds long. Yeah, pretty powerful for a ship to just be able to sit around a cap zone for 150 seconds with a 5-kilometer hydro that's spotting ships if it's trying to rush them. And as soon as the team is spotting any sort of battleship or cruiser or DD, you just instantly start farming them with some of the best DPM in the game. It's very good. It is very, very good, this ship. I'm shocked at how powerful it is. I really regret not getting it sooner, to be honest with you. But it is expensive. I know research points are not the easiest thing to come by, but definitely a ship to be working towards. If you're a DD main, probably even get this before Ohio, honestly. I think it is just that good. So let me know what you think in the comments down below. Hope you guys enjoyed, and have a great rest of your day.